The Avengers of Harmony. Prologue. Chaos Unleashed. The Canterlot sculpture garden was quiet, almost oblivious to the chaos caused by the changelings just outside of its boundaries. All was still, except for a large sculpture of a dragoncuous in the very center of the courtyard. A small crack ran up the side of the statue, slowly warming its way from head to toe. Slowly, more breaks apart, forming a giant web covering the statue. Then a mighty blast of magic ensued from the inside of the castle walls, sending the changelings flying into the mountains beyond. The earth shook violently, and the pieces of the dragoncuous statue shattered to the ground, revealing a very real creature underneath. Discord yawned. "Oh, it's good to be free," he chuckled. "Chaos shall rule once again." Several ideas plunging around. Okay. Discord yawned. "Oh, it's good to be free again," he chuckled. "Chaos shall rule once again." Several ideas of plaguing all of Equestria in endless disorder sped through his mind, before he suddenly remembered a certain obstacle in his way. Oh, but what about those pony and the... Oh, what about those ponies and the elements? Discord wondered out loud. If I want to rule all of Equestria, I will need something else to defeat them. Something else. Or someone else. A misshapen smile lit up Discord's face. "I believe it's time to pay my dear friend Loki a visit." Discord snapped his fingers, and in a flash of green light, he was gone. Chapter 1. The Iron Mare Suit. Twilight Sparkle had walked down the street of Ponyville. The Pegasi had cleared the skies to create a beautiful sunny day. Ponies around her were happily chatting, shopping, or playing around. It was yet another beautiful day. Boom! There was a sudden explosion. A rocket fell from the sky, landing directly in front of Twilight. "What in Equestria?" "Awesome, it worked!" a voice cheered from above. Twilight looked up to see a familiar cyan-colored Pegasus sitting in the clouds. "Rainbow!" she called up to the Pegasus. "Oh, sorry about that, Twi." Rainbow apologized. "Chili Pepper and I were just testing out some of our newest rockets." Twilight cocked her head in confusion. "Rockets?" "Yep," a bright orange Pegasus stallion beside Rainbow replied. "Dash and I formed a rocket company, Spark Industries." "I wanted to call it Dash Industries, but Pepper here wouldn't have it," Rainbow scolded. "Anyways, the company's doing an amazing job. We've already have an order for 12 rockets from Pinkie Pie." "Wow," Twilight commented. "That's great, you two." "You bet," Rainbow exclaimed. The Pegasus mare paused for a moment, before flying down to the Lavender Unicorn. "You know, there is a secret project I've been working on," Dash continued in a quieter tone. "But I need your magic to make it work." Rainbow Dash leaned closer to Twilight, whispering something in her ear. "Sure, Dash, I'll be happy to help," Twilight replied after hearing the Pegasus's request. "Great," Dash said excitedly. "Let me just get a couple more supplies. Then I'll meet you back at the library." Pinkie Pie stood... Oh. Okay. "I'll meet you back at the library." Rainbow Dash leapt into the sky, soaring above the clouds. Finally, she found the one pink earth pony she was looking for. Pinkie Pie stood in the meadow with Fluttershy a bow in her pink hooves with a quiver full of plunger-tipped arrows on her back. In a swift move, the bright pink mare drew an arrow and sent it flying right into the center of the bullseye on the other side of the field. "Oh, great shot, Pinky," Fluttershy commented quietly. "Thanks," Pinky giggled. "I've been practicing." Dash swooped down from the skies and landed in front of the two mares. "Hey, Pinky," Dash began. "I was wondering if you had—" "Here you go, Dashy!" Pinkie Pie grinned, thrusting exactly what Rainbow needed into the Pegasus's hooves. Dark blue metal paint. Thanks, Pinky," Rainbow replied, extremely surprised at her friend's quick reaction. "You're welcome," Pinky exclaimed, happily firing more arrows at the target. "All right, just one more thing," Rainbow Dash told herself before soaring off to the boutique. The Cyan Pegasus landed gracefully in front of a large, fairly pasted blue and pink building and rapped on the door with her hoof. "Rarity!" The door glowed with blue magic before swinging open. "Oh, hi, Rainbow Dash, darling." The white unicorn behind the door greeted. "Is there anything I can help you with?" "Actually, yes," Rainbow Dash replied. "I was wondering if you had a big gem I could use." Rarity paused for a moment. "Ah, yes, I have one that you'll absolutely love." The unicorn dashed over to a large red-violet chest in the back of the room. Her horn aglowed. "Aha!" she exclaimed. "Here it is." Using her magic, Rarity pulled out a light blue gemstone carved in the shape of a lightning bolt. "That's perfect," Rainbow smiled, taking the stone. "Thanks, Rarity." "You are most welcome," the unicorn replied. Rainbow Dash took to the skies once more. "Oh, this is going to be awesome," she squealed to herself. Rainbow Dash arrived at the library a few hours later, nearly busting down the door in her excitement. "Twilight," she called, heaving a burlap sack she had brought into the main room. "Right here, Rainbow," the purple unicorn replied. Twilight gazed at the sack, which was making strange clanking noises. "So, is that it?" "Yep," Rainbow Dash answered. "Do you think you can do it?" "Well, I'll try my best." Twilight bent over. A flurry of red magic began to swirl around her horn. A beam of white light shot out of the lavender unicorn's horn, striking the object in the bag and causing it to glow. A few moments later, Twilight collapsed on the ground, panting. "I think it worked." Rainbow walked over to the sack, digging out a suit of armor. It was a full-body suit, painted blue with underlining parts of silver. A pair of metal wings protruded from the back, and in the center of the chest piece rested a lightning-shaped blue gemstone glowing with energy. The Cyan filly cautiously reached out to touch the suit. The suit made a strange shifting and clicking noise, beginning to cover its maker. The armor was light yet sturdy. Rainbow's real wings fit comfortably inside the metal ones. The energy blasters Rainbow had placed in the bottom of her two front hooves felt warm with energy. Finally, the mask clicked into place, having only glowing blue slits for eyes. "Ah, yeah," Rainbow cheered her voice slightly robotic. "The Iron Mare suit is ready for action. Let's take this baby out." The Iron Mare soared out of the library, flying high to the skies with extreme speed. Rainbow sped through the clouds, feeling the sound barrier pushing against her. Energy began to crackle around her form, and then, boom! With a flash of color, a sonic rainbow ensued across the sky. Rainbow Dash quickly changed direction, shooting upwards. She raised her hooves in front of her, flying with energy built up before firing a bolt into a nearby cloud. "Wow, this suit is more awesomer than I dreamed," she exclaimed. All the ponies in town were so caught up in the sight of the metal Pegasus soaring over Ponyville that they failed to notice the strange black portal opening in the sky above. Chapter 2. The Battles of Heroes. Rainbow Dash zoomed above the clouds of Ponyville in the Iron Mare suit, thoroughly enjoying the sounds of cheers coming from below. Suddenly, something collided violently with her, sending the Pegasus tumbling through the air. The information screens inside her helmet momentarily flashed red as Rainbow Dash regained her balance. What the hey? Although hidden by her helmet, Rainbow's eyes widened at the sight before her. 3 tall, 2-legged alien creatures rushed towards her, riding upon what looked like a flying scooter. Without much thought, Rainbow Dash raised her hind legs and kicked the scooter, sending it and its passengers flying into the army of alien creatures behind them. Some of the creatures rizzed tall, spear-like weapons, shooting blue energy bolts at the armored Pegasus. "Oh, so you want to do this?" Rainbow asked tauntingly. "Then let's do this," putting the thrusters on the back of her suit to full power. Rainbow Dash charged into the army, firing her own energy bolts at the aliens. But there were too many for just one Pegasus to handle. More poured out of the dark hole in the sky, landing on the streets of Ponyville. Several raised their spears and shot at the panicking ponies. "What in thunderations are those things? These things?" Applejack cried as she kicked a few of the aliens coming near her. "They're Chutaras. They're Chutaras," Twilight shouted, shooting off some magic bolts. What now?" "Chitara," Twilight repeated. "Warrior-type aliens that are created for the sole purpose of destruction. I read about them in the Canterlot Library." Rarity burst out of her shop to see the massive destruction. "My, whatever is happening out here?" "Oh, hiya, Rarity," Applejack greeted, bucking a few Chutara. "These are Chutara, and these Chutara are attacking Ponyville," and Applejack was cut off in mid-sentence as the unicorn sprung from the doorstep and onto a Chutara, kicking it squarely in the chest. "Wow, Rarity," Applejack complimented. "I didn't think you had it in you." "Always the element of surprise, darling," Rarity replied, flipping over a few fallen bodies to attack some more of the oncoming Chutaras. Applejack chuckled, but her face abruptly turned grim. "Rarity, watch out!" Hesitantly, the orange earth pony seized an abandoned trash can lid and threw it towards the Chutara behind Rarity. She swiftly leapt over the wreckage to the fallen trash can lid, lifting it high to deflect an oncoming blast. Twilight Sparkle also had her fair share of alien attackers to deal with. The lavender unicorn scrunched up her face in concentration, and her horn began to glow with a bright white light. With a with a thunderous roar, lightning erupted from Twilight's horn, demolishing the army of Chitauri surrounding her. Meanwhile, Pinkie Pie was bouncing all over the city, firing her plunger arrows at the Chitauris. "Take that, you big meanies!" she shouted, shooting an arrow straight into an oncoming attacker's face. The pink earth pony bounced all over to where Twilight, Applejack, and Rarity were fighting, happily joining the fray. "Hey, has anyone seen Fluttershy?" she asked. "I'm over here," a small voice whispered, hardly audible above the din of the battle. The butter-colored Pegasus pony cowered behind a fruit cart that miraculously been left untouched. "Fluttershy," Twilight yelled, rushing over to the Pegasus. "You need to get out of here." Suddenly, an energy ball hit Applejack directly in the chest. The orange earth pony sprawled onto the ground. "Applejack!" Twilight cried. Fluttershy stared in horror at Applejack. Her friend, lying on the ground, a burnt mark on the earth pony's chest. "How dare you," Fluttershy stated, her voice growing suddenly louder as she turned to face the Chitauri army. "How dare you!" With a surprising speed and ferocity, Fluttershy charged headlong into the army of aliens, bowling quite a few of them over. The Pegasus hardly thought about what she was doing. She just blindly attacked those who dared to hurt her friends. Twilight rushed over to where Applejack lay. "Applejack, are you okay?" "I'm fine, Twilight," Applejack replied, struggling to her hooves. "Just a little burned and bruised, that's all." The unicorn nodded, her face still concerned over her friend. Twilight then spotted the trash can lid Applejack had been wielding a few feet away. She swiftly galloped to it, placing her horn upon it. The lid began to glow with a strange magenta fire, and slowly began to change. The flimsy aluminum became a durable metal. The dingy gray color of the lid changed into a firm crimson. A green silhouette of an apple embellished upon it. "Here, AJ," Twilight panted once her spell was completed. "Wow, Twi," Applejack commented, taking her new shield. "Thanks. Where did you learn to do that, Sugar Cube?" "A simple transformation spell," the unicorn replied. "Just upgraded it." Suddenly, Rainbow Dash's voice called out from above. "Hey guys, I'm bringing the party to you." The Iron Mare suit staked across the sky, following an enormous mechanical serpent creature, a leviathan. Its fiery red eyes glowing with malice. Rainbow darling," Rarity stated, "I don't see how that's a party." Without so much as a warning, Fluttershy leapt onto the head of the large beast, stared directly into its glowing eyes. The Leviathan quivered beneath the stare, crashing to the ground. But more were coming. Numerous Chitauri poured through the portal in the sky. The ponies bravely fought them off, but the 6 of them could not hold off the attacks for long. Suddenly, Rarity perked up. Idea! She sang, turning to the Iron Mare. Dash, darling, would you give me a lift? She asked. I have a plan. You got it. Rainbow Dash replied, letting Rarity jump onto her back, soaring toward the portal. Calculating, Rarity lowered her horn. A blue light began to swirl around it. A bolt of magic shot out from her horn, striking the portal. The black hole in the sky began to grow blue. But slowly but surely, the portal grew smaller and smaller until it finally disappeared. On the ground, Applejack, Twilight, Pinkie Pie, and Fluttershy continued to fight the remaining Chitara. Then, as the portal closed, the aliens began to shudder, all falling to the ground motionless. Well, I'm sure glad that's all over, Applejack panted, collapsing beside her friends. Yeah, Fluttershy agreed in her normal, quiet tone of voice. Rainbow Dash landed beside Twilight, the Iron Mare suit folding neatly into an inconspicuous vest. What were those things doing here anyway? The Blue Pegasus asked. I don't know, Rainbow Dash, Twilight responded. The Chitara were only supposed to be an old mare's tail. Meanwhile, Pinkie Pie was bouncing merrily in a circle. We won, she sang. The pink pony abruptly stopped her hopping. Hey, you know what this calls for? A party! She began leaping around to Sugar Cube Corner, mumbling about all the supplies she would need. Twilight! Said Unicorn whirled around to see Spike sprinting towards her, a scroll in his hand. What is it, Spike? She asked. Urgent message from Princess, the dragon panted, collapsing in front of Twilight. An urgent message? Twilight wondered out loudly. Using her magic, Twilight levitated the scroll up and began to read. Dear Twilight, you and your friends must come to Counterlot as soon as possible. This is of utmost importance. Discord has been freed and... Every pony, including Twilight, gasped. What? But how in tarnations? Applejack wondered. That shouldn't be possible, Rarity exclaimed. I know, girls. Just let me finish the letter. Twilight stated, her eyes wide with shock. I don't think that is the worst part. Fluttershy, Rarity, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, and Applejack nodded. Twilight cleared her throat and continued to read. Discord has been freed, and he has teamed up with another wielder of chaos from another realm. I fear for what the two of them have planned, and I'm afraid to say that it is not only Equestria that is in danger. Director Nick Fury of Strategic Homeland in Invasion Enforcement and Logical Division, a SHIELD for short, is here with me. He understands the situation better than I and shall explain it upon your arrival. Sincerely, Princess Celestia. Pinkie Pie, your party will have to wait, Twilight instructed. We need to get to Counterlot. And fast. Tony Stark, as Iron Man, soared between the skyscrapers, dodging the energy blast from his pulsars. The Chitara had decided to make an unexpected appearance today, and no one knew where they were coming from. All Tony knew was that the Avengers were needed. Iron Man landed in the middle of the city, where his fellow Avengers were gathered. Bruce had hulked up and was now bashing the heads of two Chitara together. Natasha fired bullet after bullet at the aliens. sometimes performing swift combat moves when the energy got too close. Hawkeye shot his specialized arrows at the Chitauri, causing them to explode violently. Captain America and Thor were fine side by side, fending off attackers with hammer and shield. Is it just me, or does there seem less than last time? Clint asked, firing another arrow straight into a Chitauri's head. You know, now that I look at it, yes, Tony replied, taking off to survey the surroundings. The crowd of Chitauri was significantly less than their last battle, and he couldn't help but wonder why. Suddenly rain began to pour down from the sky. Tony ignored it at first, but then his boosters began to become a bit shaky. He began to worry. "Jarvis?" he called. "Yes, sir," the robotic butler replied. "Can you get an analysis of this rain?" Tony asked, landing beside Hawkeye. A few moments later, Jarvis replied, "It seems to be chocolate milk, sir." "Chocolate milk?" Tony exclaimed. Clint quickly quickened an eyebrow at Iron Man's exclamation, before sticking his tongue out into the rain. "Yep," he confirmed. "That's definitely chocolate milk. Pretty good chocolate milk, if I do say so myself." Thor suddenly gazed up at the sky. "What are those clouds?" he pondered. "They're pink," Cap trailed off, an idea forming in his head. "No, it can't be." "Captain, it's raining chocolate milk," Natasha stated. "I'm pretty sure those clouds could be anything right about now." The God of Thunder twirled his hammer in his hands a few times before thrusting into the air. Lightning shot out from it, the electric bolts cheering into the pink clouds and causing them to causing them to turn to ashes. My, a voice stated from behind the Avengers. "That was quite the impressive trick there, brother." The six whirled around to see a familiar enemy standing before them, dressed in his dark green and gold Asgardian armor. "Loki," Thor growled. Natasha shook her head. "This doesn't make any sense." "Makes sense," a new voice chuckled. "Oh, my dear Black Widow, what is the fun in their making sense?" A strange creature stood towards the Avengers. It was a colorful beast comprised of many different parts of animals. "Who are you?" a confused Clint asked. Yes, Clint Barton. Otherwise known as Hawkeye," the beast grinned. "Well, that's a very interesting question indeed." "You are a Dragoncuous, Thor suddenly remarked. "Excellent observation, Thor Odinson," the creature laughed. "But for further introductions, I am Discord, spirit of disharmony and chaos." So you know all of our names," Tony stated. "Well, that is very impressive, but it will take a lot more." "Oh, I know much more than your names, Mr. Stark," Discord smirked. "But now, if you'll excuse us, we have chaos to spread." Discord snapped his talon-like fingers, and in a flash of green light, Loki, the Chitauri, and the pink chocolate milk rain clouds disappeared. "What do you think he's planning?" Steve asked. Tony lifted the faceplate off his helmet. "I don't know, Cap, but whatever it is," Tony was cut off by a voice in his earpiece. "Mr. Stark," the voice stated, "you and the other Avengers are needed in the helicarrier immediately." All right, fine. We'll be there," Tony responded, turning to face the Avengers. Guys, we need to get to the helicarrier, stat. Thor nodded, grabbing Captain America's hand and taking to the sky. Both Clint and Natasha grabbed onto the Iron Man suit. Oh, and Bruce, Tony called to the Hulk before taking off, you might want to find a change of clothes. The Hulk growled at Tony before bouncing off. Tony smirked before pulling his faceplate down and soaring away into the thankfully chocolate rain-free sky. Director Nick Fury stared out of one of the stained glass windows of Canterlot Palace. Celestia came up beside him, having just sent the letter to Twilight and her friends. Do you think it will work? The princess asked. It has to, Nick replied, turning to face the alicorn. It has been quite some time since I last saw you, Celestia. Celestia smiled. Indeed. You helped us defeat Discord once, Nick, and now you must defeat him again. But this time, Discord is not alone, Nick stated. A new wave of heroes is rising, and they are our only hope. Chapter 3. Mission Briefing. The doors of the Grey Hall burst open as 6 ponies hurried inside. Princess Celestia, Twilight called, rushing up to her mentor. We came as fast as we could. What is happening out there? Does this have to do with the Chitauri? I thought they were just... Celestia held up her hoof to stem the flow of questions. Like I have mentioned in the letter, Discord has escaped. And he has partnered with another wielder of chaos, by the name Loki. The princess sighed. I have never dealt with Loki before, but I know he will be a more challenging and ruthless foe. Wait, Rainbow Dash interrupted. This Loki guy sounds a lot like Discord. What makes him much worse? Loki is basically a god, a voice replied from the corner. A tall two-legged figure stepped out from the shadows, but he was not like the Chitauri. His skin was dark brown instead of gray, and he wore a long coat and an eye patch over one eye. My little ponies, this is Director Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. A human, if I must add. Celestia introduced. He has dealt with both Discord and Loki in the past. Nick nodded his head. Loki is no ordinary wielder of chaos. He is much more powerful and vicious than Discord. In the past, Loki has killed 80 people in 2 days. This caused all of the ponies' eyes to widen. Discord had made ponies ride up walls and sneezing over buildings, but he never killed any of them, let alone 80. Now, Loki and Discord do not pose a threat to just Equestria. Twilight, do you remember learning about Waikatsi? The World Tree? Twilight asked. Celestia nodded her head. But that's just an old mare's tail, the purple unicorn exclaimed. I am afraid not, Celestia responded. The World Tree has linked together the 9 realms since the beginning of time. Equestria is just one of these realms. Nick here comes from Midgard, or Earth, the realm of humankind. Loki, however, originates from both Asgard and Jotunheim, 2 realms of beings with immense power. And Loki is not afraid to use this power, Nick continued. He nearly destroyed a city once, and he will not object to doing this again. And with Discord and the Chitauri on his side, my world Earth does not stand a chance. That is where you come in, Celestia stated. The 6 of you must travel with Nick to Earth and defeat Loki and Discord once and for all. The 6 ponies huddled together for a moment. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not too comfortable with this whole traveling through worlds thing. Applejack whispered. I'm not too sure of it either, Applejack, but Princess Celestia and Mr. Fury are counting on us to help, Twilight replied. And besides, Pinkie Pie added, it will be fun. Twilight turned to face Nick and the princess. Princess Celestia? Nick Fury? It would be an honor for us to wield the elements of harmony once more and stop Discord and Loki. Ah, but there lies a problem. The elements of harmony are powerless on Earth. You six must defeat Discord and Loki using other ways. Other ways? Applejack wondered. What in tarnations do you mean by other ways? A couple of months ago, Loki and the Chitauri attacked Earth, Nick explained. A group of heroes were formed to stop him. They had no elements of harmony or anything like that. Yet despite all odds, they won and saved Earth. The human side. I still believe in heroes. And from what Celestia has told me about you six, I believe that you are up to the task. Oh, well, thank you, sir, Rarity blushed, flattered. Now, know this, Celestia added. You will not be alone. The group of heroes Nick mentioned will be your allies during this mission. Applejack. I would recommend you keep that shield with you, Nick advised. And Rainbow Dash, keep that vest on at all times. You never know when that suit of yours will come in handy. Twilight, Rainbow gasped at the man. But how? My suit? Celestia smirked and winked at the blue Pegasus. I may have told Nick everything I know about you six. She smiled. The princess then lowered her horn, and a gold light began to swirl around it. The light grew in the size until it became a large shining portal. I wish you all the best of luck. Nick stepped through the portal, disappearing in a flash of gold. Well, girls, are you ready? Twilight asked, gazing at her friends. Yep, Pinkie grinned, giving the unicorn salute. I'm as ready as I'll ever be, Applejack stated, adjusting her shield on her back. Fluttershy shrank back a bit. Well, yes. Rarity sighed. Well, I suppose I have to do without my accessories. Let's go kick some Discord tail, Rainbow Dash cheered. Twilight squared her shoulders and took a deep breath. Well, here we go. She held her head high and stepped into the golden light, closely followed by Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, Applejack, and Fluttershy. Celestia watched the ponies disappear through the gateway. Stay safe, my little ponies. She mumbled She mumbled, the world depends on you. The Avengers all gathered in the conference room of the helicarrier. Most of them haven't even bothered to change out of their suits. In fact, the only one who had changed was Bruce. And that was only because the other guy was too big to fit in the room. Suddenly, a golden swirl of light appeared in the middle of the room. A familiar figure, clad in black, stepped out of the light. The glow soon diminished until it was gone. Wow, Nick, great entrance, Tony commented, lifting the faceplate off of his suit. Director Fury, what is going on? Natasha asked, walking over to Nick. I will explain everything, Nick promised. I believe all of you have seen the strange weather patterns around the globe. All the Avengers nodded, unsure of where this was going. Well, these are the doings of an old foe of mine from my younger days, Discord. The Dragoncuous we saw earlier? Thor asked. I see that you have become acquainted with him. Well, Discord has freed Loki and formed an alliance with him, which creates a rather dangerous duo for us to deal with. Now, I have consoled the leader of Discord's homeworld and an ally of mine, Princess Celestia, and she has recruited the help of 6 heroes as well. I have met with them, and they are more than ready. Nick was cut off as the golden light suddenly sparked in the middle of the room. Swirling and glowing 6 ponies all tumbled out, each various bright colors. One was colored orange with a blonde mane and hair tied back, a cowboy hat on her head, and a crimson shield on her back. Another was a bright shade of bubblegum pink with frizzy magenta mane and tail. Is every pony okay? A purple pony, no, unicorn, with a dark blue mane and tail, staked with pink and purple, asked the rest. I'm okay, a quiet butter yellow pony with a drooping pink mane and tail replied, ruffling her wings. A Pegasus, Steve mused, and I thought nothing could surprise me. Ugh, a bright blue Pegasus groaned. Is there any way to make interworld travel a bit more, comfortable? Tony raised his eyebrows at the pony's rainbow-colored hair, but decided not to say anything. Oh, my mane, a white unicorn whined, attempting to fix her well-curled violet mane. The orange pony scrambled to her feet, gazing at her surroundings. Girls? I think they're staring at us, she stated with a heavy southern twang, gusting to the Avengers. The Avengers then became aware that they were gasping at the ponies, and then quickly closed their mouths. Horses? Clint asked. Seriously, Director? These are ponies, Barton. Not horses, Nick corrected. And they have saved their home world more than once. Hey! The rainbow-maned one suddenly exclaimed, flying up to Tony Stark's face. You stole my idea. Your idea? Tony asked indignantly. Yes, my idea, the Pegasus replied, pressing the lightning-shaped button on the dark blue vest she wore. Loud shifting and clicking noises were heard, and as if by magic, metal armor sprouted out of the vest, forming to the Pegasus's body. Within a matter of minutes, the faceplate clicked into place. The Iron Mare suit completely assembled. Impressive, Tony complimented. Now tell me, did you place targeting screens inside the helmet? The Pegasus finished for him. You bet. A grin spreaded on Tony's face. I like this one, he remarked, stepping towards the Iron Mare. Name's Tony Stark. Genius, playboy, philanthropist, and the one and the only Iron Man. He grinned, holding out his hand. Name's Rainbow Dash, the fastest flyer in all of Equestria, and the one and the only Iron Mare. The Pegasus replied with a smirk, taking the man's hand and hoof and giving it a firm shake. Wow, Steve remarked. I never thought I'd meet someone who matched Tony's cockiness almost perfectly. You and me both, partner, the orange pony agreed. My name's Applejack, she continued, holding out her hoof. The captain took the pony's hoof in greeting. I'm Steve Rogers. It's a pleasure to meet you, Steve, Applejack grinned. Steve couldn't help but grin back. He had a feeling that the two of them would become good friends. Clint smiled when he noticed the quiver of arrows on the pink pony's back. Hey, he grinned. My name's Clint Burton, also known as Hawkeye. Do you use the bow and arrow too? Well, yes, the pony replied, her voice high-pitched and bubbly. I mean, the bow and arrow is like the best thing ever created. Well, besides chocolate cake. And I mean, who can top that? Oh, I'm Pinkie Pie. But you can just call me Pinkie or Pie. I really don't mind any of them. Hawkeye couldn't help but chuckle at Pinkie's rambling. It was really quite endearing. Thor approached the purple unicorn, who was gazing at the several gadgets and screens. They are quite fascinating, are they not? Thor asked. The unicorn jumped slightly at Thor's voice, but then quickly regained her composure. Oh, yes, she replied eagerly. I can't believe building such things is possible. Thor chuckled. Yes, the things these mortals are able to come up with. The unicorn cocked her head. You speak of them as if you're not from here, she remarked. Indeed, I am not from Earth, Thor stated. I am from Asgard, but I protect Earth with my life. Asgard, the unicorn wondered out loud. I would love to hear more about it. I'm Twilight Sparkle. It's a pleasure to meet you. And you are? I am Thor Odinson, Thor answered. I would love to hear more about your homeland. Equestria, is it not? You've heard of it? Twilight asked. Why, of course, Thor laughed. The princess of Equestria visited us a few years ago to renew our peace treaty. Wow! I didn't know the princess had contact between other realms, Twilight smiled. So Thor, tell me more about Asgard. Thor returned Twilight's grin. Well, it is a magnificent place. Bruce noticed the yellow Pegasus standing off to the corner, almost cowering amongst the crowd of ponies and people. Hello, Bruce greeted softly, coming over to her. I'm Dr. Bruce Banner. I'm Fluttershy, the Pegasus whispered. It's nice to meet you, Fluttershy, Bruce replied. His experience with shy children patients helped him. Tell me, why are you here? You don't seem to be the adventurous type. Oh, I'm not, Fluttershy confirmed. But my friends were going and, well, I went with them. Ow! Bruce yelped as something sharp poked his side. Tony appeared behind Bruce, holding a sharp metal pointer in his hand. Seriously, man, what's your secret? He asked. Yoga? Zen? Tony, would you please... Bruce was cut off as Fluttershy flew right up to Tony's face. Why did you do that? She asked sternly. Why did you hurt him? Bruce raised his hands in surrender. Okay, jeez. He walked over to Rainbow Dash, who was failing miserably to muffle her snickering. Fluttershy landed on the ground, looking sheepishly at Bruce. I'm sorry about that, she apologized. It's just, you have another guy, don't you? Bruce realized, gazing at the Pegasus. Well, I guess I kinda do, Fluttershy replied. It's just sometimes I could get so worked up, I just lose control, and I understand, Bruce did. Don't worry, you're not the only one like that. Fluttershy stared at him for a moment, her teal eyes widened with surprise. But then a grin broke out on her face, and the two of them continued to talk about their other guys. Natasha Romanoff gazed at the pair of ponies and humans, or, in one case, Asgardians, talking around the room. Excuse me, a rather elegant voice stated. Natasha whipped around to see the white unicorn gazing at her. I just wanted to say, what an exquisite outfit you have, the unicorn continued. You really think so? Natasha questioned, raising an eyebrow. Oh, of course, darling, the unicorn exclaimed. It's incredibly fashionable, but it's simple and flexible enough to serve as a practical suit. You seem to know your way around fashion, Natasha commented. Oh, I hope I do. I am Rarity, Ponyville's premium fashion designer. Rarity replied. I also do a bit of martial arts training, she added in a quieter voice. But that's just a secret. Always the element of surprise. Natasha smiled. I'm Natasha. Both Unicorn and Widow turned their attention to Tony and Rainbow Dash, who were happily chatting with each other like they've known each other forever. Oh, those two will get along famously, Rarity remarked. Natasha shook her head, chuckling. Oh, you don't know what Mr. Stark's idea of famous is.